So today I'm going to talk about kenophobia and what it is and all this other stuff. So first off, I have kenophobia, I'm pretty sure I do at least, and what that is a fear of large, wide open spaces or voids. Now, it is not agoraphobia, as some people have mistaken it for, because agoraphobia is a fear of large crowds of people, public situations, social interactions, so forth, and those are all completely like polar opposites from what I am. I mean, I love like large bustling crowds of people. I love like Tokyo, New York, San Francisco, etc. I mean, I love that environment, and I don't have any problem with like doing collaborations with other people in public. I mean, look at the videos I've collaborated on with John Walkup, TV Travi, Ottawan, etc. I have no problem with those, and I've never had stage fright in my life as far as I can remember. So definitely don't have agoraphobia. Kenophobia is the fear, again, of large, wide open expanses of space, not outer space, but like space in the actual definition of the term, or voids. Now, by definition, this is not something that can exist in real life all that often. It's pretty rare to exist in real life. So it's not really something you just walk outside and see, but I did this amazing artwork. It's absolutely high quality here. You can see it shows, yeah, you can definitely tell there. But this is an example of what kenophobia basically is a flat expanse and just nothing as far as the eye can see. Now, a little quick note I'd like to address is when I watch LSD or Eastern Mind or any other games like that have kenophobia, when I watch videos of them, like I'm not playing the game or I'm watching a video of me just playing the game, but I'm not actively playing it myself, it's not scary in the least. It's only scary when you're actually playing the game at that moment. So when I'm looking at a picture of something or just a video or whatever else, it's like kenophobic, it doesn't really do anything to me at all. It has to be something you're actually interacting with, and that's where the scariness comes from, which is why I always say play the games yourself, and then you'll see why it's freaky. Even if you don't have kenophobia, it'll still be something that'll freak you out. And I've gotten a ton of messages back from people who initially said the games aren't scary at all, they're not freaky, disturbing, and then they play them and then they're all fucked up afterwards. But anyways, so this is an example, a very, very basic example of what kenophobia would be. It's just flat plane, nothing there. Now, if you add mountains in the background, the kenophobia effect, if not flat out nullified 100%, is greatly, greatly diminished. Because now that you have mountains in the distance, the feeling of being in a total void or empty expanse is gone. Because there's something in the distance. And that goes the same for a tree in the foreground, for example. If there's that tree there, it's still sort of freaky because it's just a gigantic void, but there's that tree there, which nullifies the flat, barren expanse. You get what I'm saying? So, so a lot of people have suggested games to me like, for example, the SCP series and so forth. And they say those are kenophobic games, but they're really not in the least, because not only are you not in a flat open expanse, you're actually surrounded by walls. So it's pretty much the polar opposite of kenophobia. Now, granted, that doesn't mean those games are 100% not scary, in the least or whatever else, because there's other type of scares that most people respond to, which is jump scares and so forth. And those don't really get me most of the time, but you get what I'm saying. It's, it has to be a large, flat, open, expanse of space. Now, a lot of people bring up fog and say like, oh, well, this game's really foggy. What about Silent Hill, for example? It's really foggy. Wouldn't that freak you out? Because you can't see anything. Well, kenophobia isn't about being able to not see far. It's about knowing that there's nothing out there as far as you could possibly go. That's what it is. So fog doesn't really affect it one way or the other because it all depends on your knowledge of what is actually there. Like, for example, if I were in this scene and there was fog, I would still be just as scared as if there wasn't fog because I know that beyond the fog there's nothingness as far as I could possibly walk. But if I'm in this scene or this scene and there's fog, it's not going to do much to me at all to really heighten anything there because I know that past that fog there's some mountains, and past that fog there's a tree, or etc. So it doesn't really do anything. Now, some of you may wonder, what about, for example, I'm going to go back here in my face. What about, for example, shark hunting the great white? For example, why is that scary? Well, again, it goes back to what you know is in your game environment in this case, or in the real world environment. And so with shark hunting the great white, when you're on land, again, it would be very rare for there to be a true kenophobic experience in real life. That would be really, really rare. Like, even in the desert, there's still hills and so forth. You know, there's still things that are a part of the landscape. But in shark hunting the great white, when you're underwater, when you're in the ocean topography is one where you can just go for like friggin' 50 miles in one direction and never hit a wall. And so that's why that's freaky, is because I know that's how the ocean is that in itself it's kenophobic, that it is just a gigantic expanse of nothingness depending on what direction you go in. So it's not as freaky as like the true flat expanse of space, but it is freaky for that reason. And, you know, it's also the fact that the murky waters and so forth, they do obscure things similar to the fog. But when I'm underwater and so forth, I think it's just a little bit freakier than when I'm on land for me personally, because it's like underwater, you know, I think this is the way for most humans at least, is that we don't belong in the water. You know, we don't belong underwater. It's like we can't breathe water. We have to depend on like an apparatus to give us oxygen. And if that apparatus breaks, we're essentially screwed. And so it's like, even though I'm not actually underwater in the game, you know, that kind of, I think, mentally affects people subconsciously if you really get into the game. And if you're already on edge, it starts to affect you some. So I think that might be why there. That's my theory there. But but that is the whole kenophobic thing. That should explain it pretty well in detail for those of you that were wondering about that. So, quick summary, I'm not agoraphobic. Kenophobia is the large expanse, open, flat, voids, etc. And fog doesn't affect it one way or the other. And if there's any sort of thing in the distance or in the foreground that you can see, then it does not affect it. And by see, I mean actual physical structure. Clouds don't count. I know they're a physical structure, but you get what I'm saying. Clouds don't count. The sun doesn't count. It'd have to be something you could actually walk up to, you know, and like physically interact with while you're still on the ground. Do you get what I mean? Anyways, though, there's the whole thing on that. So, yep.